The consumer, they call us. We're the people that buy. While everyone else is out to sell some kind of merchandise, we run to the boss and tell him we need a bit more gold, some tax deductions later, and we still wind up in the hole.
Welcome to the inaugural episode of Maritimes Watch, the only dedicated program looking at corruption and misuse of public resources in Atlantic Canada. My name is Don Bowser. I'm the president of Impact, an NGO that's looking at stopping corruption here in the Maritimes. Today's episode is about the undue influence exercised by some corporations on the government and its policies. Many in Canada have been outraged and shocked by the case of SNC-Lavalin, in which the Prime Minister's office is alleged to have interfered with the prosecution for corruption of this Quebec-based construction company. Essentially, it was alleged that corruption charges were deferred in order to protect jobs at the firm. As shocking as this case of undue influence may be to many, it is not unique. We've seen it in case after case in which corporations are given preferential treatment in order to protect jobs, allegedly, and to be able to allow them to continue to operate. Today we will look at how in one region, one company, our own local oligarch, Irving, has been able to influence not only government decisions in Atlantic Canada, but also at the national level. Irving is a very large corporation, has many arms. One of its arms is its naval construction of Irving Shipbuilding, or IS as I like to call it, but please don't confuse that with Islamic State. They are very different in how they operate. Irving Shipbuilding has been enjoying a great period of growth over the last years. In 2015, the Canadian government awarded it a $2.3 billion contract to build the DeWolf-class Arctic offshore patrol ships, or AOPS. This construction contract is going to go for 6 vessels and is part of the National Shipbuilding Procurement Strategy. Irving has also been awarded the Canadian Surface Combatant Ship contract of circa $60 billion to build 15 vessels. Let that sink in. $65 billion of investment in terms of one company in the region. So why then did the NDP government under Dexter in Nova Scotia decide to give them a $304 million tax? And this would be great news if all this work was going to be done by Maritimers, but it doesn't look that way. Already it has been alleged that a Spanish firm has been awarded some of the work under AOPS. When the Chronicle Herald reported this, it was immediately pounced on by Irving for claiming that it was essentially reporting fake news. This was even noticed by the national press. So this leads to our topic of this week's show, how powerful corporations are able to use their influence on government to try and stifle any public discussion about the use of public funds. This almost $65 billion of contracts are not Irving's money. It's your money. It's the taxpayers' money. And this takes us to the next brewing scandal. How Irving Shipbuilding was able to receive information from the government on a public inquiry by a national news organizations looking into how these ships were being built in Halifax. Following a tip, Post Media submitted questions on March 6 to 2 government departments, National Defence and the Public Services and Procurement Canada, about possible problems that existed in the welding on the DeWolf-class ships. These are the first ones that Irving has built for the government. They got an immediate response, but not the response that they actually expected. This response came from the president of Irving Shipbuilding, Kevin McCoy, who then telephoned the National Post, and 90 minutes after they had made their inquiry into the government. So it didn't come from the government, it came from a private corporation. The Post states that McCoy threatened that Irving's lawyers would be making sure that you understand that if you write something false about our reputation, we will pursue it, meaning they'll take legal action. How is it possible that a private company is informed by the government within a very short period of time about an access to information request done by national media. Do these things actually happen in Canada? Smacks a little bit more of an authoritarian regime somewhere in the developing world. But this is not the first case, and it's not going to be the last case, in which corporations have been informed by public servants on inquiries that are ongoing. So we currently have the case of Mark Norman, who's been charged with breach of trust for allegedly giving out information from the Prime Minister's office and on the shipbuilding contracts to another company. So this also comes on top of the resignation of the Treasury Board of Canada, Scott Bryson, who resigned allegedly for his involvement in the Norman case and his connections with Irving Shipbuilding. Nothing has been proven in court yet. No evidence has come forward. But what we see is that there is, again, allegations of improper contact between public servants and this company. So what do we have? We have a large corporation that is able to influence, receives information from public servants, and tries to stop any public discussion about how it's building these ships, what it is going to do with the money that it's been given, and who else is involved with this. There's very low level of access to information on this case. People have looked into it, but essentially we only have the award of the contract, no real details about how this is going, how the competition was run. None of this is public information. Granted, in defense contracts, quite often you have people claim that it's for security reasons. But in this case, you see large public procurement ongoing without any real information about how it was awarded. Again, this undue influence of corporations is one of the main problems that we currently have in Canada. We need to start looking into how corporations influence government policy and then to stop it. I urge everybody at home and all the viewers today to actually start doing something about corruption.